So the questions that come up about the future of the world are such as, will it be a world of abundance or of scarcity? Or to go further, maybe it will be a world where there's abundance in some parts of the world and continued scarcity in other parts, which we have now, and perhaps we can get more of the world abundant. Another question is, would it be a world of peace or war? And of course, we are hoping that we will finally learn the lesson of nature and everything else, that peace is so priceless, we must avoid wars whenever we can. And third, will it be a world of opportunity or one of dread and suffering? And let's make it a world of opportunity for all. Now, one final remark about the world was Woody Allen's remark. I must say it's kind of gloomy. One path leads to despair and utter hopelessness, the other to total extinction. Let us pray that we have the wisdom to choose correctly. Well, he only gave us two forks in the road, both of which are despairing. We have a broader picture of that. See my next slide. And this is called the problem of the fork in the road. It came from really the great futurist Buckminster Fuller in his writing. And he said there were two paths. Utopia, which is the one we all want to take as the path, or oblivion. Now, I'm going to modify that. I'm going to make three paths. We're going to start with oblivion and where we are. We are where the X is shown. We're moving toward oblivion, in other words, the dying of the planet. We're not there yet. We haven't done enough to kill the planet. You see a dot following the X. Do not go past that point of no return. Once we do, it's oblivion. We should backtrack. And in backtracking, we either slowly cut the fossil fuel business, which is threatening the life of the planet, or we even leap faster somehow to what is a mode called survival, where we are certainly not going to have the planet heat up to such a point that life is not possible on the planet. And then we would have a chance for utopia. So let's work on that premise best. Let's move on. I've done some work with my friend Christian Sachar, identifying the worst problems of the world. And I've identified 7 problems, and we call them the wicked 7. One of them is the death of nature. We've been very abusive of plants and animals and nature. And we can say more about that in the book that we are publishing soon called The Wicked 7 Problems, in which case we take each problem, show the damage that's been done, and what could be done to save the situation. You'll notice inequality is a wicked problem, and it's always been with us. What can we do about it? And behind that and underlying that is hate and conflict. Why do we have so much hate and conflict? And then there's the problem of power and corruption, and how power leads to corruption often. And so much of it is happening. We have to have better discipline. And then what is happening to the world of work and technology? Are we going to run that world, or is it going to run us? Are robots going to be our partners or our bosses? And the wicked problems that come up with health and livelihood. Much can be said there, and we will say it. And then finally, the problem of how much population size is the right size for the world and for different nations, and how is population affected by migration. So this is not a talk now about the wicked problems. only to say that they lurk behind our talk as we move forward. Now, we could be optimistic and say the world will be one of innovation. We're going to have flying cars, self-cleaning clothes, delicious and healthy, low-calorie processed food, and robot butlers cleaning our homes, and decriminalization centers that will help criminals reform, peacemaking centers, sociability centers so people aren't lonely and they meet other people, and maybe a handful of utopian cities which we can admire and try to copy in our own cities. That's an optimistic look for the future. But let's move now to business. And we recognize there are four big forces changing everything, namely new technologies, the fact that countries deal with other countries in trade and in messaging, and there's globalization, and that the physical environment is strong, but often we abuse it, and sustainability and other questions have arisen. And then the whole force of social responsibility toward other people, toward nature, and so on. Now, all of this in the context of changing consumer capabilities. Today's consumer is much more sophisticated than past consumers, but companies are more sophisticated. And there's new competitive capabilities, and even the government is playing a more active role in many places. So moving on, I'd like to share my view of the early history of business and how it evolved to today's business. Because going back in time, we saw companies, small ones normally, and they knew how to make something, how to market those things. But you know, it was a world of shortages. So anything that was made, it produced a lineup of people ready to buy those things. We say that's a state of undersupply. Undersupply means anyone who makes anything can sell it because there's not enough to go around. However, we've moved over time into a world of oversupply, where there are many competitors making more things than we can actually afford with the level of pay and earnings that average people have. So we're in a world of oversupply. And so these companies have to learn something new, not just to make more product, but how to market what they make and make a living, a good margin in what they are selling. So companies turn to advertising agencies to learn marketing. And what they really learned was a distorted view of marketing, as if the whole thing is about an ad, a powerful ad, getting someone suddenly to know about a product, feel good about that product and buy it. So marketing turns out to be much more than just advertising. And it meant that there was a company had to touch at least four things in what we call their marketing mix. Marketing was more than just promotion and advertising. So the original marketing mix tools were the 4 Ps. It's a coincidence that they all use the letter P at the beginning. Product, price, place, and promotion. Now I, in my 16th edition of Marketing Management, changed this to a 7 set of tools, not a 4 set of tools. And they are, again, product, which was one of them, but we want to separate service out and make it as important as the product, so we give that enough attention. Now, price was always in the 4 Ps, but you know, you set a price, but you do a lot of things to move your product beyond that price, because if it's not moving, you want to give additional incentives. you want to say a 20% discount if you buy today, or two for the price of one. So the whole field of incentives should be separated from the setting of the normal price. And then we want to not use the word promotion, but the word communication, and establish a very good communicating system and a very good distribution system covering many channels that can carry our product to the customers. And then I want the word brand to be worked on and built all the time and protected all the time. So if a company works with these 7 ideas, they will have a very good plan, hopefully. And the companies will start with, of course, what we call STP, segmentation, targeting, and positioning. In other words, probably there's only a limited number of people who have any interest in your offering. What segment of need do you want to serve? Who do you want to serve? Do you want to serve young people and their wish to drink something, whether it's a Coke or whether it's orange juice or a alcoholic drink? Who's your segment? So you can target that group better and position what you're offering in a more meaningful way. Your value, you can state a value proposition of what the user will get from the product. That's positioning. And then we move to a digital world, from an analog world to a digital world. And we're increasingly recognizing a change. In the past, there were only 2 groups that the company paid attention to: customers and investors. In other words, know your customer so well that they will buy enough of your product so that profits are made, which go to the investors only. But that has been changing from a shareholder view of the company, that is, the company maximizes the wealth of the shareholders, to a stakeholder view of the company, that there's 6 or 7 groups that have made the success of that company, and reward should be proportional to their contributions. And that is gaining very much, this whole view of serving the stakeholders of the company and rewarding them. And then companies are now becoming AI-oriented, and we believe that artificial intelligence offers many, many new opportunities, and that companies are getting very analytical in approaching the market and trying to understand the market behavior. Okay, so wrapping this up, the world is changing at a fast rate. It's destroying old businesses that did not adjust, and it's forming new companies all the time. And businesses therefore need to change with changing market opportunities. However, too many companies do not change. They might not recognize changes or have the capability to change. Too many managers focus on existing procedures and bureaucracy. In other words, they are professional people running the company, but that's not enough. You need to also be entrepreneurial. And I'll make more of that point about the difference between being a company with professional marketers, and I say that is not enough. They must also have entrepreneurial marketers, and I'll say more about that. So let's ask 2 things. One is, what are the business characteristics in the post-COVID world? And then we'll turn to what are the customer characteristics. So first with business. I think you will agree with the following. More companies are vulnerable to disruptors. Disruptors come along with either a lower price for the same product or a product with more features than the present firms are offering. So disruption is something every company has to worry about. being replaced by a better offer in some way, either lower cost or more value created. So you got to list as a company, ask your people to sense what the possible disruptors might be, because the message becomes this: if you're going to be disrupted, you should do the disruption to yourself before the others do it. Another thing, more companies collect detailed consumer data and they apply what we call machine learning to produce actionable marketing insights. That's why you take all this data that you've collected to get a better understanding of what prompts a customer to decide on your brand instead of the other brand. And we're making progress in getting insights that way. Third, more startups will emerge to do direct-to-consumer marketing. We call it sometimes DCM, where some startup firm decides that there are consumers having a need that is not supplied well by the existing shops or online services, whatever. And in fact, the invention of online made it possible for startup firms to get the names of consumers who have a certain need, and these startups can place their offers directly to consumers who do not have to go to a shop buying a standard product, but who will buy their new startup product. So this is challenging store-based marketers. And as a result, online sales are growing faster than in-store sales. Is it possible that we won't need stores in the future because everything could be ordered for direct delivery to the customer? We'll talk about that. Brand building requires more than traditional marketing tools. Yes, advertising is a very big input in brand building, but there's much more involved in brand building than just advertising. Sales growth will depend on smart online behavioral targeting, where you know who you want to reach and how to reach them. And companies will move to brand activism, that the brand might even be richer to both the employees and customers and the public, because it takes a stand on something the public cares about. Of course, a company could never get involved with any cause and just sell what it makes, but more companies are now believing that taking some concern about the state of the world might be in their advantage. And we believe that companies will do increasingly more in-house advertising and promotion, and leave it to the advertising agencies to do those things they can't do. In other words, companies will find out there are some parts of preparing a good advertising campaign that they can handle themselves, and then use from the ad agencies and promoters what they can't make up in their own company. Let's move on. You know, businesses will have to change their purpose. Profitability has been the historical purpose of a company. Their job is to keep building the demand for their products and services. Hopefully, that there will be endless economic growth and job creation. The new issue is this: industrialization increases all the time, and in doing that, it produces more carbon in the world that is warming the planet. And that means people in the worst parts of the world, where near the equator, will find breathing to be impossible. They will flee. They will put pressure on Europe and other places where they can at least avoid this heat and cause great problems in the world. So we should do our best to neutralize industrialization by moving from fossil fuels, which is the basis of our energy system, to non-fossil fuels, to wind and to solar energy and water energy and so on, in which case we would delay and maybe prevent the warming of the planet. So now this means that it's not enough to just pursue profitability. Every decent firm will also try to pursue sustainability along with profitability. And in fact, that calls upon the firm the job of reshaping the consumption of products and the design of products in the interest of saving the planet. I'm not saying that we're going to move to degrowth as a major theme. In other words, the degrowth of population, the degrowth of bigger economies. No, it could be just maybe about slower growth, more rational growth of the world economy. And does sustainability impact profits negatively? I would argue the opposite, that the firms that have taken to heart real sustainability have learned so many things about waste and how to use and reuse the same resources again and again. And those firms are practicing what we call circularity. They are letting resources be used again and again. We say recover, reuse, and recycle existing products and resources. Use water more carefully. Minimize the use of packaging and especially reduce the use of plastics. Use more efficient lighting, heating, and air conditioning, and minimize your driving and flying because it's always producing carbon. So that's a new purpose. At least it adds sustainability to profitability in the hands of business. By the way, in terms of taking a cause, some cause that your company might believe in, we have evidence of many companies that have identified a cause. Avon as a company which sells cosmetics and so on to many, many women, know that women are concerned with the terrible problem of breast cancer and want to support all the research that can be done to minimize this kind of event happening to any woman. And they've raised millions and millions of dollars. And the women who shop at Avon know that and appreciate that cause. I won't comment on the others, but we have written books that mention many of the causes and how they've worked out. But moving on, let me say that a company today has three styles of marketing. And remember, the purpose of marketing is to create real value. You're talking about how to create value for others. Marketing 1.0 is the old method where you use your mind to understand the customer. You think you're a customer, so you understand what customers are like, even without research. Your whole focus is on the product that you sell, whether it's an automobile or a refrigerator or a drink or something. And you're going to spend your time messaging the economic value of what you just made for customers because your aim is just profits. That's 1.0 marketing. 1.2 marketing comes more from the heart. You're caring for the customer. You value your employees and other people working with you and for you. And you want to improve social progress for everyone. That's good. That's better than 1.0. And then there's 3.0, which some companies, to them it's more than heart, it's spirit. And they are not only value driven, but values driven. They have a set of clear values. Among them is environment. And their goal is human happiness. So the question is, where's your company now? Is it a 1.0 or a 2.0 or 3.0 company? where do you want your company to be? And if you're millennials, you probably want your company to be at least 2.0, if it's only 1.0 in its practice. And why? Because you feel more proud of your company for being caring of the job they're doing. And you would have to spell out the steps you would take to get the company to move from 1.0 to 2.0 or possibly to 3.0. A book that I find very useful to cite, and many of you have already used the book, and I think it's in the second edition now. I wish I had written that book, written by three wonderful scholars, called Firms of Endearment, which is a fancy way to say companies that people love. Firms of Endearment. And the scholars studied companies and found 25 companies that consumers would say, I love that company. They would say, boy, if Coke disappeared, I don't know what I would do. I don't want to drink the other drinks. So in different ways, these were 25 companies. Apple was another company that people said, if Apple disappeared, I don't know what I'm going to do because I have a Mac and I love that company and its cell phone and so on. So what they found out is all 25 companies that customers love were stakeholder driven, not shareholder driven, which I alluded to. And these firms of endearment were highly profitable and they outperformed the overall market's performance by a 9-to-1 ratio over a 10-year period. In other words, they outperformed all of their competitors. And at these companies, employees were happier, more motivated, more loyal, more innovative. The suppliers were more profitable and environment improved in all of these communities. So the evidence was that stakeholder capitalism is superior to shareholder capitalism. Now, the interesting thing is all 25 companies shared the following 8 characteristics. First, they said they cared about all the stakeholders. Secondly, the executive salaries were high, but relatively modest in terms of some other companies which really pay so many more times what the average worker is paid. 3, the management operated an open door policy. Yes, you can meet me if you have an idea. Don't worry that I'm the boss and you're 3 levels down. I'm even open to hearing from you if you have a great idea. And these companies paid good compensation with good benefits. Their employees were trained longer and the turnover was lower. Even in choosing workers, these companies wanted to choose people who were passionate about creating value for customers. And these companies view the suppliers as very important partners who collaborate on improving productivity and quality and lowering cost. And they believe that their corporate culture is their greatest asset and the primary source of their competitive advantage. Now, finally, and this is something that will blow your mind, their marketing costs were much lower than their peer competitors, while customer satisfaction and retention was much higher. Wow, you mean to say that these companies don't have to spend as much? Why would that be? Well, clearly it's because most of the broadcasting is being done by who? By their satisfied customers, by word of mouth. These companies have created customers who become advocates of the firm and introducing ordinary conversations. Oh, if you're buying a car, you better look at CarX. That's a great car. So much of the work is done without buying it. So we're beginning to realize that in spite of having advertising, in spite of having a sales force, most of the work of creating a strong brand is done by the customers who are so excited by the company that they broadcast for that company. But let's move forward. So that I said basically that marketing's role is to be professional cheerleaders in part, and there's much more. We want the marketers to be entrepreneurial in the sense of being visionaries, of having a vision of what's possible, always spotting new opportunities, comfortable taking some and trying to build networks around their business that will continue to support the progress of the business. And that the aim of marketing is, of course, to sell the products, but on the broader way, it's to improve lives and the well-being of customers, employees, investors, and other stakeholders. Sometimes that's called servant leadership, that you can be proud of service to others because by performing good service, you're really serving yourself as well. So the role of marketing, let's look at it more closely. Marketing is clearly a driving force in an economy. First, it shapes the rate of economic growth. I would guess that an economy without marketers would grow slower. Secondly, marketing determines the mix of the society's products and services, because not only do companies make what is needed, but they often visualize what would add value even if they were not in these products were not in existence. I mean, Steve Jobs said he's not making this thing he called a cell phone because people knew about it and asked for it. No, he wasn't meeting a need. He was offering something that when noticed by consumers, they will appreciate how much help that cell phone will be in conducting their own lives and affairs. So we sometimes say marketing is not only market driven, but maybe market driving. I'll say more about that shortly. Now, marketing can be run in a society in two ways. The society, like the American society, might say companies are free to determine their products, prices, places, and promotion as they wish. Free. That's called a free state of marketing with very little regulation and so on. Or the government may set a lot of rules to guide marketers to make the right decisions. The rules can be very restrictive or they could be very broad. I created the following rules that might guide marketing practice in a society, and why not say products should create no harm. I mean, which means that we should have look at cigarettes and so on and wonder whether we should allow them to be so promoted because they do cause heart attacks and cancer and other bad things. So I think it's reasonable that the society makes a determination that certain products have to be eliminated because they create harm. Prices of basic needed products should not be excessive for low-income people. I mean, bread, everyone needs bread for survival, and if the prices of bread keeps going up, it puts such pressure on low-income people. So a good society would make sure that basic needed products by low-income people are affordable. Not only that these basic needed products are available to every location where there are low-income people. And that promotion should be truthful and not high pressure or all the time high pressured. It should be truthful and effective. And a brand should not attack other brands so much as focus on its own virtues. And one can develop a set of rules for a nation that's starting out to want to guide marketing practice. These would be some of the rules. But what is marketing today? Marketing has become applied economics. So that's its father, economics. But it's a mix also of social science and the economic theory and organizational theory. That was what I set out to do in my 1967 book, Marketing Management, to make marketing based on these foundations. And it's a force that shapes our wants and lifestyles. And it undergoes continuous change. To show that, I use a story that happened. A CEO heard me give a talk and came up to me afterwards, and he had a copy of my book. But what book? The 1967 textbook that I wrote at that time called Marketing Management. And he says, I learned a lot from the book. I still use it. Would you sign it? I said to the CEO, are you still using it? The 1967 marketing? He says, yes, I look up things that happen and find it helpful. I said, you know, marketing has changed so much since 67. In fact, I'm on my 16th edition. He says, are you trying to sell me another book? I said, yes, because if you want to know anything about brand equity or about digital marketing or things that really count today, you've got to recognize that marketing is not the same as geometry. I could teach you geometry that was taught back 2,000 years ago and there would be no change in the subject. But marketing changes every period. In fact, we wrote a book called Marketing 4.0, then Marketing 5.0. We're now working on Marketing 6.0 because every few years new things happen. Anyways, and another thing about the future of marketing, buyers will be able to select best brands without resorting to advertising or sales people. Increasingly, although marketing traditionally is about some advertising and salespeople, we know that the consumers are able to get so much information before or wanting any advertising or salespeople. Marketing success will depend mostly on smart pricing, strong branding, and owning dominant channels of distribution. Marketing creativity will be crucial to achieving marketing success. Innovate or die. Marketers will make more use of customer journey map, personas marketing, creating artificial personas to help the copywriters know who they're trying to reach. More content marketing and more use of influencers, because in the digital age, there are some people who have thousands or maybe millions of followers. Boy, if we can get them to use our product visibly, then many of the followers want to be using what the people they like so much are using. And then marketers will use predictive analytics and machine learning to identify and convert best prospects. So what about government and all this? Remember I said there were 4 groups and government is one of them. And we can't answer the future. There are different systems. We could be in a system of unregulated free market competition, which was highly the form we operated in for so many years. Some regulations, but mostly free market competition and capitalism. American stakeholder capitalism may get strong with regulations and social responsibilities. I think we're moving in that direction from free market capitalism. I happen to favor Nordic capitalism, which believes that certain areas should be public, available to the public in an affordable way. For example, free education, free college education, rather than such the family with 3 children, each facing a college education of $200,000, makes it almost impossible for the earnings of the person to afford that. Nordic capitalism, what's done in Norway, Sweden, Finland, Denmark, and Iceland, they charge more to the rich people in the society, a higher income tax, and they have enough money to make college education freer or less expensive, and also to the health. Everyone is covered in their health needs at a much lower cost because more money is raised for these public sector needs. And then we have to worry about moving into a system where the authorities are more authoritarian and democracy melts into what is fascism. And people are told what books you could read and not read, and that telling women that the women cannot make the choice of what to do with their bodies. That will have to be a government decision, and if they're pregnant, they're going to have to deliver on that pregnancy all the way, even if they were raped and things like that. So we have to be sure we're conserving the right government or carrying out our marketing. And I'm going to leave with this slide because I use it in the Human to Human H2H book. There's 3 types of bad marketing. Don't do unethical marketing. It will backfire on you if you do. And don't do a lot of wasteful marketing of steps that you take that don't add up to anything. And then there's some of your marketing which is inane. It's kind of silly. You're shouting sales talks and all that. Is it working really? Do H-to-H marketing, do it people to people, good people caring about other people, wanting both sides to be winners. Every transaction should produce 2 winners, the buyer and the seller. And so I want to leave you with this message, and I'm very serious about it. Within 5 years, and I'm talking about your company, if you're in the same business as you are in now, you're going to be out of business. Things are changing all the time. And by the way, it's not only profitability that you should be good at. If you don't add sustainability, you will definitely be out of business in the next years. Thank you very much. I know I said a lot of things and I hope you took some notes, but I think marketing adds great value to any economy. And I've tried to describe some of the aspects that make your marketing great. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Philip Kotler, for your wonderful insights about marketing and the future. So now it is time to celebrate, and I'm inviting all of our invited guests to come here and join the party, actually, join the birthday party. So inviting our Honorable State Minister, Mr. Junaid Ahmed Palak sir, our Harman Katzawa, and our Farhat Anwar sir, Raj Bhai, Sharif Bhai, and our Professor Mizan sir. So please join here and please let's celebrate.
Thank you, Professor, for that amazing, insightful session. Surely we will learn to enrich our future endeavors. We will now gather for a momentous occasion as we celebrate the Professor's 92nd birthday with a cake cutting ceremony. This is a special moment to pay tribute to his immense contribution and express our gratitude for his invaluable teachings. Now, I would like to ask our honorable guests to come to stage and join us in our humble cake cutting ceremony. Please come on stage. Please give a big round of applause for them. বাম পাশে কেউ নাই তো হুম সেখানে মনে করছি বসে যাক সবাই সবাই খাইছে শুটিং Thank you, Professor Philip Kotler, for spending your valuable time with us. And we would all like to wish you a very happy birthday once again. Now, we will then move on to our engaging panel discussion focused on the topic how entrepreneurial marketing essence can help shape future of smart citizens. The panel will be moderated by the esteemed Professor Dr. S.M. Sohel Rana, Associate Professor of Department of Marketing, Independent University, Bangladesh. And the panelists are Tasdeen Hassan, Chief Business Officer, The Daily Star, Khandakar Tashfin Alam, Chief Operating Officer, Daraj Online Shopping, MD Sadman Sadikin, Marketing Director, Home Care, and Head of Digital Hub, Unilever Bangladesh Limited. Buzong Kim, Professor Dong A University. A huge round of applause for them. Together, they will explore the role of entrepreneurial marketing in fostering the development of smart citizens who will drive the future of our nation. Please give a round of applause to our panelists again.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Am I audible? Okay. So at first, I would like to give a special thanks to the parties who are working very hard for making this program a grand success. So today we have with us very distinguished guests, especially three panelists. And we have a renowned professor with us also. So today we will listen from them on how entrepreneurial marketing essence can help shape future smart citizens of Bangladesh. This is a nice topic, not only nice, important and timely. You know, in 2022, on 12th December, our Honorable Prime Minister of Bangladesh announced a new vision for the country, that is Smart Bangladesh, to be achieved by 16th December 2041. So, do you want to be the smart citizens? You know, for building a smart nation, at first we have to create smart citizens. So today we will listen from our distinguished guest how we can build a smart Bangladesh by creating smart citizens. So at first, I would like to start the session by Mr. Tajuddin Hassan. Are you ready? It's a very simple issue, and we are eagerly waiting to listen from you. Sir, we would like to listen what do you mean by smart citizen, or what are the characteristics an individual should have to be a smart citizen who will shape the future of the country. Please.
Thank you so much, Mr. Professor. So, uh, Sir was telling about 2041 vision, Smart Bangladesh. So if you look at the agenda of Smart Bangladesh, the entire Smart Bangladesh agenda is built on 4 pillars, which talks about smart citizen, smart economy, smart government, and smart society, right? But before going into a smart citizen, how we define it, let's see what is the underlying line behind developing this concept called Smart Bangladesh. So, you know, in 2008, we declared the agenda of digital Bangladesh. That according to the government, we have achieved this in 2021, December 16th. And now we lay down the, we lay down the foundation of the Smart Bangladesh based on this launch pad called Digital Bangladesh. And we want to achieve the agenda of Smart Bangladesh by 2041. Here, one very important aspect has been discussed, which is called inclusivity. So in Smart Bangladesh, there will be equal opportunity. There would be equal access to information. There will be equal opportunity to the benefits that people are getting from government. So it is beyond, digital Bangladesh agenda. But before I define the smart citizen, I want to pick this word called inclusiveness. So how you become inclusiveness? What is inclusivity? Inclusivity can be defined when you build a society or build a nation with everyone. You are leaving no one behind. So a smart citizen is someone who has inculcated that values in him, that he will be leaving no one behind. He would be driven by values rather than skill. Why? Digital Bangladesh has taught us a lot of skills. We have got good internet penetration. We know how to use the smartphone. Our economy is growing. In fact, by 2025, we'll be one of the biggest economy in South Asia. That has been predicted by different international research agencies or organizations. We have come a long way, but the main point that under Smart Bangladesh we want to achieve is that we need to take everyone when we celebrate a day when there will be no extreme poverty, when our poverty will be less than 3%. But it's only possible when a citizen is driven by values. Philip Kotler was showing a slide, the challenges that currently the global, we are facing globally: corruption, hate, then we see environment. So these are the challenges we are also facing here in Bangladesh. So a smart citizen should have a values which is driven by integrity, honesty, which would be driven by empathy. So when you have these kind of values, I think even if you got a lot of skill, but if you're not, ethically right, then I think you won't be able to ensure inclusivity. So it's very important to have those values. So my perspective is having the values of empathy, honesty, integrity, and inclusiveness is the factors that define a smart citizen. Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. Great. I'm impressed with his delivery. Thank you so much. Now I would like to go to Mr. Kondokar from Daraz. Kondokar Tashfin, from Daraz. Mr. Tasfin, this Philip Kotler and other co-authors have written a book on this entrepreneurial marketing, and they are focusing on some issues or the characteristics of the individuals who will shape the future of the economy of any country. And they especially focused on the leadership skills of the entrepreneurs. So how can we explain the importance of leadership skills of the future professionals?
Thank you. I think, I guess everybody can hear me. So thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. So I think leadership is something inbuilt. So it's definitely part of the entrepreneurial capabilities that we are talking about, but everybody needs to be a leader in their day-to-day life. So that is something we should be practicing to an extent. and that is required for everybody. Even that's applicable for the students whenever doing the teamwork. That is also applicable for any layer of employees. Sometimes we have a misconception that the leadership should be coming from the top layer of the chain, whether it's an organization, whether it's an university, or any layer we talk about, even if it's a sport. So leadership can be found actually in every individual, even if it's a teamwork. So from that concept, I think leadership is something that we need to nurture among ourselves, whatever the things that we are doing on a day-to-day basis. And then that's a long way thing that is built in. When somebody is having a natural leadership capability, then whenever they are putting themselves into any sort of business, whether it's a small business to big business, that is the quality that's going to help them the most in their daily life. Even if we talk about in any particular batch, when they're going from an undergrad to a professional career, normally we will see that 10 to 15 people gets into a particular organization at the same time, but perhaps only one will be in the top of the ladder. That's how a pyramid works. But those with the quality of the leadership is supposed to be the one that will be going to the top of the pyramid. So we have to practice the leadership qualities among ourselves. Somebody have a natural quality, people say that. I kind of not fully agree with that. It is also something that you can nurture, that you can try to teach yourself by seeing and observing others. And this is, I think, one of the main cornerstone that will also define the smart citizen, or even what we're talking about, the smart country. So you have to be also innovative. I think this is another thing that will also lead you towards the path that we are talking about. And I think another thing that we have seen is the risk taking. So naturally, the leaders are risk takers. And in this current world, you have to be a risk taker. So what we are seeing that today, the way the world is moving, maybe 5 to 10 years, the world would not be the same today. The traditional jobs will be replaced with different things. The learning that we are doing today maybe doesn't make sense even 5 years from now. So you also have to keep yourself up to what we are doing. Apart from relationship skills, you also need to be innovative and also do the right thing at the right time. This is also very important. I think all these qualities together can only build the smart citizen and the smart society, or even the smart Bangladesh that we're talking about. At this moment, I completely echo with Tazin, what he said, that inclusivity is very important. So there was some period, even 1 decade back, when the students from the Dhaka is supposed to be the privileged one compared to the rest of the countries, because of the access to books, access to more information, internet, and other things. But today, it's not the case. We will be seeing the entire Bangladesh. I think that's the beauty of the smart or digital Bangladesh, that we have been able to include all the people that were not part of the privileged society, I should rather say. So it is also mean that you guys are not privileged anymore, because you will be facing the competition not only from your peer universities, but anywhere of the country. And during the global world, actually, this is also contrast compared to the faster world. Even underdeveloped or developing country like us can also be the top of the world map, that you guys should not be even on the contrast seeing yourself not be competing for Amazon, Microsoft, or even working for ChatGPT, because digital divide is actually not applicable even for you who wants to make name for yourself in the world, not only for the country. So I think those are the things that you should be thinking. Maybe it's the right time for you people to think that how do you want to build yourself first, then also help the economy and the society and the nation itself. So I guess, I mean, there are some good learnings from what we have seen in last 1.5 hours, but it's more about the mindset that you should be having, and more about how you prepare yourself for the world, which is going to be tougher day by day. But at the same time, it's a big opportunity. If you are good, then I think the world map is the destiny that we should be aiming.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Tasmin Alam, for your insightful sharing. You see what Mr. Kondakar Tasmin Alam is telling from his hard-earned experience. These are not the things coming from the textbook we are teaching you people in the classroom. They're the professionals, they're the leaders who are leading different renowned companies in our country. So thank you so much for sharing your valuable thoughts. Now, I'd like to go to Mr. Sadman Sadikin, Marketing Director in Viva Bangladesh. So, Mr. Sadman Sadikin, Philip Kotler and the other co-authors, they pointed out some points, some issues, which they think that very, very important to be an entrepreneur, to be a successful professional who will shape the future of any nation. So among them, I would like to mention four. That is, if an individual wants to be a successful entrepreneur or a smart citizen, he or she should have creativity, innovation, leadership skills, at the same time, risk takers, not risk averse. So I want to I would like to request Mr. Sadman Sadikin to uh, give a holistic view of these points, which can play a significant role in creating smart citizens for building a smart Bangladesh.
Thank you so much. First of all, thank you so much for hosting us. It's my first time in this campus. It's a wonderful campus, wonderful auditorium. And it's always a pleasure to come back to business school. And especially it gets better when you sit with such esteemed panel. So it's always nice. And I must thank the lovely audience as well. It must take both good amount of passion and patience to sit at 8:40 to listen to a conversation here. Must be, I really thank you, all of you. Especially during a semester break, weekend evening, it's always difficult, but hopefully you have a great semester starting tomorrow. So I think both Tazdin Bhai and Tashfin Bhai has alluded to some of the key points that you mentioned. Entrepreneurial mindset would require in terms of risk taking, in terms of being creative, challenging the status quo, and also probably thinking out of box to come up with an innovation or a solution that keeps creating value for consumers and customers of a evolving time, evolving society, and evolving landscape. I think what Mr. Professor Kotler was also speaking about, that the way we used to run business in the last 10 years, 20 years, 30 years is quite fast changing, and the kind of value consumers are looking for is also changing. 20 years back, consumer probably wouldn't think if a brand is sustainable, if a brand is thinking about the planet, if the brand is thinking about community. I think that's changing. And I think what he ended with saying that if you are doing the same business, probably in 5 years of time, you'll be out of business. So you need to evolve. I think that's the first thing of an entrepreneurial mindset, where you are alert, you are self-aware, also aware of the environment. You keep reading signals from the environment, from the consumers, customers, and keep changing your product, your service, probably what value your company or service brings in, so that you keep on becoming relevant for an evolving group of consumers. I think that's a big characteristics, I would say, for the entrepreneurial mindset. So I'll not dwell on this much. I think it's a very long topic, but I think that's the one thing that stands out in my mind. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Sadman Sadikin, for sharing your valuable thoughts. We have a renowned professor with us, so this is the time to listen from you. So, sir, I just want to know what as a nation you are doing to prepare the future citizens who will shape the future of your country from your country perspective.
We are talking about smart citizen. Are you smart? Are you smart? Yes or no? Yes? Must be yes, everybody. Because you study marketing. You understand marketing. You're a marketer. Future marketer, current marketer, whatever. So today in this screen session, Philip Kotler talk about entrepreneurship and talk about marketing, the present marketing, future of marketing, something like that. I have worked for the last almost 40 years. First 20, 30 years I worked in the company, and then I taught marketing in the university. So to me, the first, Philip Kotler talk about entrepreneurship. I'm Korean. I'm living in Korea. So to Korea, what is entrepreneurship? Not everybody, but I believe most of Korean, including myself, entrepreneurship is the spirit. I can do it. We can do it. You can do it. Korean can do it. Bangladesh people can do it, something like that. Marketing, we all know. Marketing is, there are many definitions, but to me, very simple. Marketing is to create customer value, and sometimes, not sometimes, and build customer relationship. Customer is important. So to me, entrepreneurial marketing is action-driven marketing concept. So in my words, entrepreneurial marketing is I can create customer value. We can create customer value. Then, what is customer value? Customer value there are 2 or 3 definitions. We know, you know. One is functional, the other one is emotional. So, I talk about entrepreneurship, marketing, entrepreneurial marketing, or customer value. There are 2 definitions, functional value, emotional value. Even in Bangladesh, this is my second time to Bangladesh, 2017. I've been to here for the first time. Then, that time, I knew very famous Bangladesh brand, Arong. Yeah. Why? The reason why I loved that brand that time, still I love that brand, because that brand is so functional, means quality is good, fashion is good, also emotional, design is good. Most important thing is socially ethical. Yeah. So I bought one Arong painting in my Korea office. I have one in my wall. So first, we talk about the smart citizen. I talk about entrepreneurship, marketing, something like that. Basically same. So in order to be smart citizen, first, there are many things, but to me, we have to be positive. I can do it. We can do it. In my whole life, I've experienced so many things. We can do it. Second, we have to be creative and innovative, create customer value. Third, customer value. I said functional and emotional means we have to be human-centric. We have to be humane. So we have to understand human. So 3 important element or component: positive, innovative, or creative, and we have to be humane. Then again, are you smart? Yeah, you are studying marketing. I have devoted marketing in my whole life. So I believe, you believe, we are smart. So positive, innovative, and humane. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Professor Kim, for sharing your valuable thoughts. Now, my dear students, do you like to share your opinion? Anyone from you? The floor is all yours. Okay, please. ওনাকে মাইক্রোফোন দেন তো। Oh, great, great. Continue.
What are the countermeasures of the renowned brands already established in our country, like Tara, Unilever, let's say brand? Someday, sooner or later, as you mentioned, in 5 to 10 years, things will change. It will be different from others. My question is, if these brands collapse sooner, what would be the alternatives from the local brands to fight internationally in the perspective? So, like let's say we have Lay's, we have Pepsi's, Coca-Cola. Let's say they are not operating good enough in our country. They're collapsing here. So, what do you think the international market, international competitors are coming around here? Is it actually creating a barrier or opportunities for local productions to be more better and creating job opportunities, creating better lifestyle and all? That would be my question.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for your important question. And I would like to pass the floor to the professionals. You know, we have 3 renowned professionals. So at first, I want to listen from Mr. Kondokar Ashraful Amin. Please.
So I think what we learned that you have to continuously evolve. So is the businesses. So if a business is not relevant to this consumer, it will die. It doesn't matter how big the brand is. It doesn't matter how long they have been in the operation. So think about what the initial slides of the Philip Kotler was showing, that ChatGPT is here, might be obsoleting some of the jobs that was existing for thousands plus years. So that will also happen for some of the businesses. The smart businesses here, what will do, they will continuously try to evolve and be relevant to its consumer base. It doesn't matter what particular industry they are actually operating right now. It can be also true for Unilever, even the first new generation brands like Daraz, which is kind of the technology-based future. But it doesn't matter. They have the edge today. It will be also relevant maybe 10 years from now. So I think most important is to understand the consumer and then evolve accordingly and be adaptive. This adaptation is also sometimes very helpful for the local entrepreneurs for any cultural specific things, because anything that is very famous in the world market doesn't always apply for all the countries in the world. Maybe they are very famous, but it can be a religious aspect. It can have some specific cultural aspects. Those are the areas where the local entrepreneurs always have some sort of edge to work on and make their name and also be global from there. Think about Uber versus Pathao. When Uber was here, it is a global brand, but Uber in Bangladesh was not that much relevant. What Pathao was able to do, and then make them themselves even for with Gozak, or even they expanded to Nepal. It's difficult why they are not doing very good today, but from a relevance perspective, it was a classic example of local adaptation, how the local market works and what sort of business opportunity can be lying here. So I think the core essence is to know your customer first and then adopt accordingly, which is sometimes very difficult for the big companies, and there comes the opportunity. So I try to cover 2 aspects. Maybe Tazdin and Sadman can add more of their views as well.
Okay, thank you so much, Kondokar Tasnim, for answering to the points. Now, I would like to request Mr. Tajuddin Hasan. Do you like to add anything?
On that question. Okay. I think Tashwin Bhai has covered most of the things. But when you ask about local and the MNC bit, so my personal experience is, yeah, we have got a guy from Unilever, we have got someone from Daraz. So see, a multinational company always have that financial capability and strength much higher than a local company to scale up business, to actually, serve the consumer market better, and it's proven. If you look at the brands like Unilever, uh, who must have been in the market globally for more than 100 years. Yeah. So I work for BAT, is a more than 100 years old brand. I work for Chevron. Then again, I also work in a local newspaper called Daily Star, which is related to Transcom Group. And I can see, the difference of leadership culture between MNC and local companies. Yes, our local companies are building products, they're trying to building brands, but it's very important for our local companies to building institution. So what do I mean by building institution? So there is a book called Why Nations Fail. In that book, there was a line: the nations who fail to build institution, they collapse. So in this private sector, if you want to boost the economic growth, the local companies needs to build institutions. So I think the companies like Unilever, Chevron, BAT, they are like institutions who have got a proven success formula, and they are in the market for more than 100 years. So Tashwin Bhai talked about Pathao, but we also know the struggle story of Pathao as well. So it's very important for those local companies to embed the best practices into the culture, to build a successor, to come out of the family business stuff, and hire the professional CEO who can take the local companies into the next level. I think this is how a local company can give a good fight with the multinational companies, because I think you are a bit worried about how, if they collapse, how local company is going to capture the opportunity. But I don't think the MNC is going to collapse, because they got the blueprint very strong. Yeah.
Oh, great. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Tajuddin Hassan, for adding few more important points. And now I would like to listen from Mr. Sadman Sadikin, Marketing Director in Unilever Bangladesh.
Thanks. I really hope Unilever doesn't collapse in 5-10 years. And I think it's about what both of them just spoken, is about how our product portfolio, our service offerings are tailored for the evolving consumer needs. So the business I lead, one part of the business deal with products that helps to wash clothes. Do you wash your clothes? You do? So I'm not asking which brand you use. Okay, so three of the brands that I work with are called, say, Surf Excel, Rein, Will for washing clothes. Now, 20 years back, it was predominantly people used to use soaps for washing clothes, bar soap. Still, there is Will laundry soap, but now predominantly people use powders, washing powders, because that's much more easy. And now we are seeing that people are even evolving into washing liquids, because that's even more convenient, even more friendly, takes lesser time and all of those. So the idea is you keep on reading consumers' mind, how they're evolving, their lifestyle is evolving, and what they're looking for to make their life easy. And change your product offering, your service offerings tailored towards their lifestyle. I think only that's the recipe to remain in the business, not to collapse, and continue doing a sustainable business.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Sadman Sadikin. So if I summarize their views, it seems to me that practicing TQM might be a very good solution. That is continuous development of people, process, and the products the company is dealing with based on the demand of the market. So thank you so much. Now I would like to request Professor Kim. So Professor Kim, do you want to share anything more regarding smart citizen, regarding the role of entrepreneurial marketing for building a smart nation? Do you want to share anything more? Can, please.
to your question, I'd like to add just one more thing. So now we are living in the individualized circumstances. You have your own needs, I have my own, everybody is different.
Hello.
You remind me of a very good example in our countries. About 20 years ago, very famous consultant, Dr. Peter Drucker, he came to Korea to give his special advice for Korea Big Bang. He prepared around almost 300 presentation chart. As I know, it's a real story. One day before he had a meeting, one day before, he threw away all the chart, except just one chart. It says, "Who are you? Who are you?" So it is most important. Smart citizen, smart marketing, smart businessman. You have to your own uniqueness, competitiveness. Me too. Bangladesh must be Bangladesh way. So be yourself. Who are you? Bangladesh must be Bangladesh. Korea must be Korea. So in order to global, don't forget, overall strategy must be global or international. But in order to get competitiveness, you have to your own competitive advantage. That's my small comment.
Okay, Professor Kim, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing completely different and important issue. And my dear students, we are at the end of the session. If you don't have any more observations or questions,
Sir, I have one.
you have one.
Yeah.
Okay, please.
Okay, so
This is the last one.
sure, sir. So, sir, you talked about inclusivity in your speech. So, I wanted to know that what are the strategies that can be employed to ensure inclusivity and accessibility for all the citizens in the development of Smart Bangladesh?
Okay, so you can pick a few local example, like let's say pick up a company called 10 Minute School, right? So look at the online education system. Maybe 10 years back, a kid living in a very remote area of a village couldn't have access to, quality education. Just by bringing building the infrastructure and, through internet penetration and the smartphone penetration, and with that support, 10 Minute School, come up with the idea of online education. And this is how they ensure the inclusivity, correct? So think about a brand called bKash, how they make, the unbanked accounts, coming into, they make the financial inclusion happen, correct? So I think it's not a very heavy concept or it's a rocket science. It's something you need to figure out the problems of our society. You identify those problems and you come up with the solution which actually address this, the theory of inclusivity. So I think even if you think about Pathao, it solved the logistics problem. The Uber, you don't need to own a car to go from one place to another. So Uber has made things possible that even if I don't have a car, if I don't have a financial ability, but I can use a car when I want. So this is how the inclusivity is taking place. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you. I think you have got your answer. So as I told you earlier that we are at the end of the session. So Professor, do you have anything else to share? Professor Kim, do you have anything else? So our industry experts, do you have anything to add? Okay. Thank you so much, Professor Kim, and three experts from different companies of Bangladesh for attending today's session and sharing their valuable insights regarding the role of entrepreneurial marketing for building smart citizens for Smart Bangladesh. So with these few words, I would like to conclude the session. Thank you so much.
Sir, I would like to ask you to stay. We take a picture together. First the five of you and then everyone together with the crowd. Yes, sir. First the five of you together, please. The panel. Bhaiya, panel. আসিফ, তোমরাও সবাই ওইখান থেকে উপরে চলে আসো। সাদিয়া, রিমিয়া, সবাই ভিতরে আসো। সবাই ভিতরে আসো, ছবি তুলবো। Wait, আমি বললাম। Guys, can we have everyone on the stage for a picture? Everyone on the stage for a picture. আচ্ছা আচ্ছা, আগে ছবি তুলে নিই, দিয়ে দিব, সমস্যা নেই। ছবি তুলে নিই, সবাই উপরে চলে আসেন কাইন্ডলি একটু। শাহরুখ ভাই, প্রিয়ম ভাই, ছবি তুলবো একটা। হ্যাঁ ভাই, আসেন আসেন। দিব দিব, ওগুলো ওগুলো হিসাব করা আছে ভাই, সমস্যা নেই। ভাইয়া, আপু, আপু প্লিজ। সাজিদ ভাই, সাজিদ ভাই ছবি তুলবে, আসে পড়েন। এনকে এনকে এগুলো সরাও, ফয়সাল এটা সরাও।
Bangladesh language, which is Bangladesh Act number 48.
লামিয়া, ওই সাইডে যাও, কয়েকজন ওই সাইডে চলে যাও ছবিটার জন্য। সবাই একটু ক্রাউড নাও। এনকে ওদেরকে একটু কোঅর্ডিনেট করো, সবাই একটু বসায় দাও, একটু বসে তো সবাই যেতে আসে। জাস্ট কোঅর্ডিনেট করো। ওই মাঝখানে এসে পড়ি, ছেলেরা একটু বসে পড়ি। আচ্ছা শান, রিমিয়া, রিমিয়া, হ্যাঁ ঠিক আছে ঠিক আছে। ভাইয়া, তুমি তোমার ক্যামেরা দিয়ে তুলো।
তোমার একটু হেল্প করো, বসো বসো।
আসতেছি।
Sit down, please.
আরেকটা স্যার, আরেকটা আমি আসলাম তো, আমাকে দিবেন না স্যার? ডান ডান, আরেকটা। ওকে, ডান ডান। থ্যাংক ইউ থ্যাংক ইউ থ্যাংক ইউ।
আচ্ছা, অনেক তুমি ব্যাগগুলো একটু দেখো। স্ন্যাক্সগুলো
হ্যাঁ, ওনারা বের হচ্ছে না, ওনাদের সাথে বের হওয়া একজন, ওনাদের হাতে হাতে দিবা কি বাইরে, আমাদের গাড়ি থাকে।
এখান দিয়ে
স্যার, we have some snacks for you, ওটা কি গাড়িতে দিয়ে দিব আপনাদেরকে?
I think I'm good. I'm going.
খাওয়াটা নষ্ট হয়ে যাবে, নিয়ে যান।
Okay.
মানে গাড়ি, এই স্যারদা বের হচ্ছে তো, গাড়ি নিয়ে বের হবে, গাড়িতে দিয়ে ওকে দিচ্ছে দিচ্ছে দিচ্ছে। আসিফ আসিফ আসিফ, where is Asif? Before we conclude, I would like to thank the Asia Marketing Federation, the Marketing Society of Bangladesh, the Bangladesh Brand Forum for organizing this event. We would like to acknowledge our event sponsor and partners, supported by Buy Here Now, Daffodil International University, and Nogot. Event partner, Pran and Tasty Treat. Strategic partner, UCSI University Bangladesh campus. Technology partner, Amara Technology Limited. And PR partner, Backage PR. Let us embark on this journey of knowledge, inspiration, and celebration. I would like to say good night to you all. Thank you for being with us here and joining the auspicious event. Your vivid presence made the evening worthwhile. Thank you.
Shan, everyone got the food? Shan, did everyone get the food? Okay, perfect. ঠিক আছে। আমাদের হ্যাঁ দিয়ে দিছো, এটা সমস্যা নেই। আর কি জানি বলে আমাদের স্টাফ কে কে আছে? মামা আপনারা কি স্টাফরা একটু এদিকে চলে আসেন। ভাইয়া মামাদেরকে খাবার দাও, মামাদেরকে খাবার দাও। একটু মানে কি জানি বলে